let's get into our NFL draft, Brett. This is the second NFL draft that you and I have done. I listened back to last episode. You did a little better than I did in the NFL draft bets. Let's take a look at this year's, though, because we did just get graced with the news of the Teddy Bridgewater trade to Denver Broncos, which we've had a lot of quarterback talk in this top 10. Denver has one of those picks in the top 10. What does that mean, essentially, now? What's going to go on with these quarterbacks?
Yeah, I guess it raises a little bit of a question. I'm not sure it completely deters the Broncos from taking a quarterback. Like, they only have $3 million invested in Bridgewater. Carolina's going to pay most of that contract, but he's a viable starter in the NFL. He's probably an upgrade over Drew Lock at this point. I don't know. I mean, I still kind of believe in Lock's upside. I don't know if that's the right system. They're not the most creative play calling system. Like, you think with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fan and Melvin Gordon, you want to get the ball into those guys, and they seem very content to run it on second and long. So I'm not 100% sure what the Broncos are going to do. I don't think this takes them out of the QB market, but they're obviously not, quote unquote, looking for a QB, Higgins. Maybe they're one of those teams that takes that second tier quarterback, that Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Davis Mills type quarterback that we're seeing, that second tier.
Okay, well, let's have that quarterback discussion about this year's first tier because that's what most of the top five, maybe even top 10, is going to be, is the quarterbacks. I mean, number one pick is pretty foregone conclusion to be Trevor Lawrence. He's minus 10,000 in Oregon. Number two, the Jets, most likely they're gonna take Zach Wilson. I mean, it's not a guarantee. Brett, Jets fan, is that who you would necessarily want? Are the New York fans going to be happy with that? I don't know, but that seems to be what the media consensus is Zach Wilson's going number two. Three, I think, is where it gets interesting, though, Brett. But one and two are pretty foregone. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, Higgins. I think we know the number one and number two picks in this draft. I think three is where it starts to get interesting. The Niners traded up a month ago, and you have to think if you're jumping all the way up to three, they know who they wanted, but we've seen a lot of reports coming out this week that, they're deciding between Trey Lance and Mac Jones. We've seen reports coming that we could all be dead by Sunday, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. So, Higgins, please give me a call on Sunday. Make sure you're alive. George Kittle's going to reach out to Kyle Shanahan. I expect you to reach out to me.
I will, and I want you to also reach out to me
Good.
in case I forget.
Okay, deal.
But we said the number three pick is where it's going to get interesting, and I agree. The 49ers, they traded up, so they have to stay there at this point. It would be too weird for them to fall back, I think. So who do they go with? A lot of the consensus, the books even, are saying Mac Jones. I think that's a lot of hot air. I don't think they're going for Mac Jones. I think they're going for Justin Fields. And at plus 400, in Oregon, there's some interesting ways that you can bet either as the number third pick, it's plus 400, or the team to draft Justin Fields. I'm saying it's going to be the 49ers at plus 400. I think that's fantastic value, too.
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's certainly a bit of a long shot, Higgins, especially from the quote unquote latest news. But to your point, it could all be smokescreens. You have to read between the tea leaves. You kind of have to inform your own opinions. And if I believe Justin Fields is probably the second best quarterback in this draft. If you think he's that high, if not the third best, right? You stick by and you take plus 400 odds. And, hopefully you hit another plus money bet so it covers it. God forbid, our long shot chance doesn't pan out.
Well, I do have another quarterback bet, Brett, and that is
Ooh.
like I said, in Oregon, there's a few interesting bets that you can make, and one of them is who is going to be the fifth quarterback selected in the NFL draft.
Yeah, okay.
Kyle Trask.
Hmm.
Kyle Trask at plus 5,000 value. Now, this is a value play because I'm only putting a half unit on this, I'm going to say right now. But I think the fifth quarterback is going to come down to either Trey Lance or Kyle Trask. And I think it's going to be this because Trey Lance, as much as he has been hyped up because of the North Dakota State train that runs through FCS teams and how good he looks, he only got to play one game during a COVID season. So there's not a lot of actual recent time seeing him compared to recently seeing Justin Fields, Kyle Trask, who was an Heisman contender this fall potentially. There are times that these front offices we see just fall in love with guys and they talk themselves into these picks. Like, they seem to think the 49ers have talked themselves into Mac Jones. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But Kyle Trask put on enough of a good performance in the first half of college football this past year, I think, that he could have made some people fall in love. Now, his latter half of his season was a bit of a train wreck, not nearly as strong as the Heisman hopeful that he and frontrunner that he came out to start as. But at plus 5,000 to put half a unit on it, that's fantastic, right?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest, Higgins. I don't think Kyle Trask is the fifth quarterback taken, but plus 5,000 odds, you want to take your chance. I can't knock it. I think you gave reasoning as to why it could possibly happen. You found a narrative, and if that storyline plays out on Thursday night, Higgins, you will be a very rich man, and a lot of America will not. So, sometimes, like we were just discussing, you take a long shot, you feel strongly about something, and you're not comfortable with the amount of film or the amount of games Trey Lance has played at the collegiate level. You're much more comfortable with Kyle Trask going up against SEC competition for 2 years. I mean, that's perfectly sound and reasonable, but I think, just my personal opinion here, no inside knowledge or anything, right? I think Trey Lance probably finds himself going in the top 10 of this draft. So it would be pretty tough for me to see Kyle Trask potentially going that high.
Well, you are right because it's Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and then you have the trio of Jones, Field, Lance that, depending on who you talk to, they have those three in a varying order. Sometimes Zach Wilson even gets thrown into that mix and Justin Fields is up at two. But Kyle Trask, I would say, is the solid six. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for you and me, I would say yes. Kyle Trask is probably my sixth best quarterback. We've seen Davis Mills climb a lot over recent weeks. We've seen Kellen Mond start to climb. He put up great numbers at Texas A&M. Now, he started for 4 years there. He had a very up and down career. I think Trask, in his short time starting in the SEC, was probably better than Mon, to be quite honest with you. But Mon's a bigger prospect, more athletic prospect. So an NFL GM might see him in a room and might be like, "Holy shit, did you see that guy?" Which I understand that too.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's a high enough odds that it's a value play entirely, but I brought up the point of how Trey Lance only played one game, and there were some players that sat out entire seasons, like Penei Sewell, and I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock because that man put on a amazing tape protecting Justin Herbert fantastically for the Oregon Ducks. Sat out last season. I still think he goes as the top tackle. And in Oregon, kind of like with my Justin Fields pick, where I can bet on what team's gonna pick them, and I pick the 49ers for Fields, I'm betting that the Bengals are gonna pick Penei Sewell because think about it. Joe Burrow, who they just invested in with a number one pick, tore his knee up to shreds. You saw that scar, right, Brett? Did you see that scar?
Yeah, it was a pretty I mean, obviously you never want to see a quarterback go down with an ACL injury. So, yeah, I protecting your franchise QB is never a bad investment, Higgins. So, I think there's a lot of reasons to like the Penei Sewell pick to Cincinnati. It's just the question really in my mind, Higgins, is you ask Joe Burrow, "Hey man, do you want to get paired up with your boy Jamar Chase again?" And if he comes to you, he's like, "That's my dog. Like, go get me my dog." Just get him his dog, and you get him his guy. You get him his go-to number one wideout, and pencil that in for 15 touchdowns a year, and find another 30 touchdowns on your roster.
Yeah, Joe Burrow was also a journeyman as a quarterback, though jumped around a little bit. So is his connection with Chase is obviously that good. We saw it on the field when he played at LSU and won that Heisman, and Chase went off. But I don't know. That picture that the Bengals even posted recently where you saw the giant scar, I think it dictates you needing to invest to protect him with an offensive tackle pick right there with their what is it, the 5 pick? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally think it makes a ton of sense, Higgins. I'm with you on that one. But you got one more bet in Oregon before we hop all the way over to the East Coast, the New Jersey sports books.
Yes. I have two names for you.
Okay.
Travis Etienne,
Yep.
Najee Harris.
Okay.
Both going to be first rounders, so I'm taking the over 1.5 running back selected in the first half or first round at plus 150. Both of them proved it in college, basically. I mean, Najee Harris last year, beautiful season. Even before that, a fantastic player at Alabama. And Travis Etienne, a workhorse of a running back at Clemson. Out the backfield, he's beautiful. In the backfield, he's beautiful. I think there's going to be teams that potentially even trade up at the end of the first round to make sure they get one of these running backs. So I think one definitely gets picked, and maybe there's a sneak in like we saw with Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year at number 32.
Yeah, 1.5's a tough number, man, they gave you out there. The problem here in New Jersey is the numbers, point 0.5, which I like much better because I think, and I don't know why we all think this, which scares me, right? But we all think the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking Najee Harris. So we've kind of got that like written in something stronger than pencil, but not quite Sharpie. And the question is, does ETN sneak in? Well, Seattle could use some running back help, but they don't have a first round pick. Um, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because if we're going just on the talent that the player has, Higgins, you're spot on. I mean, Travis Etienne is a home run of a talent, and even if running backs burn out a little quicker in their careers, 3 years of this guy, sign me up. He's a superstar for sure.
Yeah, I mean, typically there is hesitation with a running back that has seen so much time on the field in college because being a running back is a shorter career just because of how battered and bruised you get. But Jonathan Taylor has proven to be fine with the Colts, and he played all 4 years with the Wisconsin Badgers. So I like the pick.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. It will be interesting. The juice is much heavier on the over 5.5, under 5.5. So, or I'm sorry, point 0.5. I don't know what the fuck I was saying. 5.5. Point 0.5. Yeah, I just was talking quicker than I was reading or something.
No worries.
But yeah, so the juice over here is too much for that. But like we mentioned, Higgins, I do think the Steelers are going to take Najee Harris. And if they pivot or if someone beats them to the punch, maybe the Dolphins with their second pick, they add a running back. They add Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. I think the Steelers could eventually pivot and go O line, which is probably in my mind their biggest need, like must fill in this draft is O line. So, on the East Coast, on New Jersey here, we have Steelers first pick odds, Higgins. And basically, what that is it's by position. So I get plus 130 odds on the Pittsburgh Steelers to pick a running back.
Who
And
are
I'm going to
currently at number 24.
who are currently at number 24. And I'm placing half a unit on that. And then I'm also going to place half a unit on Pittsburgh to pick an O lineman at plus 165 with their first pick. And, keeps me interested through pick 24. Hopefully they don't trade up or trade down. But I'm excited. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Steelers to be looking at those two positions. Obviously, running back was a need towards the end of the season last year. They could not run the ball at all. But you could also argue the O line was not creating any holes for those running backs. So, it's a little what came first, the chicken or the egg.
Well, I think you make a very interesting point with the O-line need because Pittsburgh's sitting at number 24. If they stay there, I imagine they probably do go with that running back play. If they were to trade up, it's probably to try to grab a man like Rashawn Slater, or if he's still there, Penei Sewell, if the Pittsburgh Steelers could trade up that high. But I don't see them necessarily doing that. I like the running back play of yours personally.
Yeah, well, just hit me up, Higgins. We'll figure something out. But there are a few more bets I found like this that I thought were interesting. One team that made some news this offseason, Higgins, the Chicago Bears. They
Da
made
Bears.
the Bears,
Da
exactly.
Bears.
Exactly. They were really all in on Russell Wilson and kind of didn't work out. They quickly pivoted to Andy Dalton. Mitch Trubisky's gone. You know, Higgins, I just got to be honest with you. This team cannot go into week one with Andy Dalton as their starting quarterback. I don't buy it for a second. I don't know if the Bears are the team to trade up or not. I don't know if a quarterback starts to drop in this draft. Maybe it's Trey Lance. Maybe it's Mac Jones. Maybe it's Justin Fields. But maybe one of those quarterbacks drops into a range where the Bears can trade up, with a team that doesn't need a quarterback or something. I'm just thinking the Bears cannot leave Thursday night without a quarterback, Higgins. And I get plus 380 odds to take that swing. Kind of like some of yours, it's a bit of a long shot. The Bears have other needs as well. Maybe they do feel confident in Andy Dalton, who's been a starter in this league before and started a bunch of games for the Cowboys last year. But Higgins, kind of like what you're saying with the 49ers, I'm just not buying it. I think the Bears need a quarterback.
I mean, we saw Jim McMahon earlier this month even come out saying Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die, and the Packers are the best quarterback or best organization to play for as a quarterback. He basically sold out the Bears entirely. I agree they need a quarterback. The difficulty is with where they're sitting at number 20. Because what quarterbacks are going to be available at number 20 with the conversation we've been having of this QB frenzy where we could see 4 to 5 quarterbacks go in the top 10?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. I think the scenarios that come into play here for the Chicago Bears, right? If they're at 20, do they love Kyle Trask? Do they love Davis Mills? Do they love Kellen Mond? Is one of those potentially their guys? If Justin Fields starts to slip, if he's sitting there at 10, do we have the ammunition to go up 10 spots? I mean, they thought they had the ammunition to go get Russell Wilson. I imagine they can get up 10 spots in the draft. So I think there's a few
All right.
ways around this one, Higgins. I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen here. I mean, we could even see, a quarterback continue to slip. Yeah, but Higgins, pretty much, I think those are the scenarios for the Chicago Bears. I'm not sure which one plays out. I think it's possible, the Patriots even let a quarterback get past them if they're comfortable with Cam Newton. And between you and me, I'm more comfortable with Cam Newton than Andy Dalton.
with the draft, there's always the opinion columns of talking about why a team could talk themselves into potentially drafting a quarterback, it seems. And we're having this conversation of which team could potentially end up passing up the hype. I agree. Bill Belichick looks like someone that would not want to overpay for a quarterback in this draft. I don't see them going with a quarterback this year, even though I think they desperately need one.
Yeah, I mean, you never know
He's always savvy with
what they
draft picks,
do.
though.
Yeah,
He's
he
always savvy
is.
with draft picks, though.
He's
We
smart.
talked about another team about with quarterbacks, though, but they had their QB drama last year and still lingering. The Packers. I see you are keeping with your theme of picks, though, with the Packers.
Yes, exactly. The Packers' first pick, Higgins. There are a few guarantees in life, but in the Aaron Rodgers era of starting quarterback, they have drafted an offensive player in the first round once, and you know who that player was?
Devonte Adams.
Jordan Love.
Oh,
So,
oh yeah, that
uh,
was just last year. That was
that
bad of
was
me.
just
That was
last
bad of me.
year. Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's
I
okay.
even just hinted at it right before when I gave it to you. How did I miss that?
It's okay, Higgins. You know, it happens to the best of us. But basically, what that tells me, Higgins, the Packers are picking a defensive player with their first pick, and I can't bet on the defensive side of the ball, so I have to split these up into three smaller bets. But cornerback plus 360, zero point 0.5 units, linebacker plus 500, zero point 0.5 units, D line plus 650, zero point 0.5 units. There's also a safety option, but to be honest, with Amos back there, I don't think they're going safety in the first round. So maybe they go a cornerback to pair with Jari Alexander. Maybe they go linebacker. Maybe they go D line and improve the pass rush. But you can almost guarantee that the Packers are going defense with this pick because they think Aaron Rodgers can do it all by himself. And last year he was the MVP. So pretty tough to argue that.
I like it. Covering all three levels with the D line, the linebackers, and the cornerback. Very smart. You're covering all your bases right there. I think that's the probably smartest way to bet the NFL draft out of all of our picks that we've probably given out right there.
Well, I mean, the truth is, Higgins, the Packers are heavy favorites to draft a wide receiver. That's going off at even money, plus 100 here in New Jersey. So, you know, people think they're going to go offense. I'm just going on history here and saying the Packers have never done that. They've never helped out Aaron Rodgers. Why is this year going to be any different?
Very fair. Very, very fair.